Yo, what's up? This is Diamond from Tetrarch, and you're watching the Network 317 podcast.
I gotta get this off my chest, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck in motion, nothing's working, I'm coming.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Network 317 podcast. We have none other than Diamond from Tetrarch. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. You're one of today's, let me say, badass female guitar players. How long have you been playing? Tell me about your whole background.
Yeah, so I started playing guitar when I think it was like my 12th birthday. That was the first day I ever took a guitar lesson or anything like that. So it's been a bit now. I've been playing for a little while, but I kind of like, it was very interesting how I started playing guitar, because before I got into like heavier music and stuff like that, like I was into like, your regular like pop, hip hop music or whatever.
Right.
But I went to private school, and I had a friend who was a little older than me. So like I kind of looked up to her. I was like, oh, she's really cool. And she was like always talking about Kurt Cobain and like, Pearl Jam. And so I was like, I got to go look up these bands she's always talking about. She's always talking about Kurt Cobain. So like, obviously I went and grabbed a Nirvana CD and all that stuff. And the rest is history from then. I like really dug it, and I seeked further. Obviously I got into some heavier stuff. But what I tell people all the time is like, I'm one of those people who like, I don't sit on the sidelines when I get into something. Like for instance, like when I was a kid, I watched this movie on Disney about motocross riders, and like all of a sudden I was like, I want to ride dirt bikes,
Sounds like my daughter.
Exactly. So it was the same with guitar. When I got into like rock and metal, I just wanted to be in a band. Like I wanted to play guitar. So I told my parents, and they were stoked, got me a guitar, got me lessons. And I think, like I said, my 12th birthday is when I started playing guitar, and I didn't put it down after that. Just like took it to the bathroom, took it to the dinner table, took it to in the car, wherever I was, that guitar was. So it's kind of been that was the start of the journey of my guitar playing.
Well, that's why you're a kick-ass, guitarist. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you live, breathe, eat, sleep with your instrument, you have no other choice but to be one of them, top-notch performers.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, practice, nothing beats practice.
Right. Now you guys have been together since what, high school? Am I correct on that?
You are. Yeah, I met Josh, the singer rhythm guitar player. I met him actually when we were like 11 or 12.
Oh, wow. That far back. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we like in basically 7th grade, we started like trying to play guitar together, just like jamming. But I think it was around when we were about 14, 15. So I'd say freshman in high school that we kind of started a semblance of what Tetrarch is now, So it's crazy, but it's a cool story. So
Yeah. So how did you and Josh meet? Like, was there an ad around your high school or what? No, you said 12 years old. So hell, it had to have been like way sooner than that.
Yeah. No, we went to a pretty small school because we went to a private school in Georgia. And so like our class only had probably like, I think we had the biggest class in school, and our class had like 70 something people in it. So we basically, when I started getting into guitar and stuff, I knew he was the only other kid in my grade that liked that kind of music too. And he played guitar, but he was kind of, his dad raised him on like Pearl Jam 2 and like U2. And so he was like very into like, just like rock. He wasn't like a metal dude, but he was the only other guy that played anything close to like what I was into. And we had another guy that played drums named Tyler. And like I said, they were into Green Day, and they would play covers and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, I guess I should try to become this guy's friend so I could play music with him. So I think like one day in class, I had never spoken to him. He leaned he was in a desk in front of me, and he leaned his chair back on my desk, and I like pulled my desk out from him. So he would like, I don't know why I did it. He's always like, why did you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm just a jerk. But maybe it was the universe aligning for us.
Sure.
Meet, and do this. So yeah, we did that, and we became like, we've been pretty inseparable since. He's my best friend, and we've done this whole music journey together. So
that's very cool. You guys, I tell you what, Tetrarch, you guys have a sound. I would almost say that you're in a class of your own. And I tell you why I say this. you guys are heavy as hell, but you have the melodies and you can actually sing, you know, along to your songs and still keep the heaviness to it, you know. Is that something you guys set out to do?
Oh, always, you know, and like when we look back at what got us into like music and the bands we listened to as middle schoolers or high schoolers or coming up, it was always those bands like that. Like our favorite band as a unit is Metallica, obviously. A lot of bands, so cliche. But you know, it's like them and the Disturbs and Slipknots and Gojira and all those bands that we loved. They were super heavy, but like they had choruses you can sing back and like hooks and some crossover appeal to them where they were able to like have like people enjoy their music that might not even like heavy music, you know. And we've always wanted to do the same thing, you know. I want somebody who listens to rap, maybe they'll listen to us and think that metal's the worst thing in the world and hear a song from ours and be like, that's not that bad. I actually really like it. I hear something in there I can really like attach to. So like that's always our goal because that's what we loved.
Right.
So it's just natural for us to try to do that as well.
That's very cool. I tell you what hooked me on you guys was, of course, the sound. But when I watched one of your videos from your first release, I was like, "Whoa, that's a female guitarist," and you were just killing it.
Thank you.
And I hate labels, but you're also African American. I was like, "No, get them out of here," you know. And that's really what hooked me. I was like, "Check her out," because I love seeing female artists just kicking ass. You know, I'm not so much on the pop side, but it's like when I see females just kicking ass in a male predominant genre of music, even it's just like, wow, that really gets me going. And I just sit and watch and watch and watch.
Thank you. Yeah, it's cool. You know, a lot of people think that it might like bother me or something, and you know, it doesn't bother me at all. Like I'm very thankful that we, you know, when I started playing guitar, I didn't think about that at all. Like it wasn't something that crossed my mind ever. You know, my favorite guitar players were like Dimebag Darrell and Slash and Kirk Hammett. You know, I had all white male, you know, influences, and like I used to feel bad because people would always be like, what females were you into? Like, you know, who were your influences? And I used to like try to make up shit, like be like, you know, and Josh one day was like, you don't have to make up stuff, you know, like it's just, you know, tell the truth. So, you know, I started being like, you know, I honestly didn't really have any, but it wasn't until some years down the road where people were like, you know, what you're doing is like really different. You don't see that. And I would be like, what are you talking about? You know? But as I got a little older, I realized like, oh, okay, it is different. It's not something you see every day. So I'm actually appreciative of it because it does draw a lot of people to our band that may not have ever given us a shot before. You know, it makes them curious and like they hear us and they might like us. So I think it's awesome. I know a lot of girls are like, oh, I hate when people say female fronted, or I hate when they point out the girl in the band. But for me, I dig it. Like I'm okay with it. You know, I don't believe it's a gimmick, you know, so I think that it's fine if it's something that makes us stand out. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, you said gimmick. What really makes it not being a gimmick is you kick ass.
Thank you.
Truthfully, you know, it would be different if, you know, we could tell that you were just up there, just excuse my language, half-assing it, or you know, just not really putting that much into it. And it's like, Jesus Christ, you know, if people, you know, will do their homework and go watch like live videos, you know, like of like let's say Tetrarch live and just watch the videos. Oh yeah, you can tell it's not a gimmick or anything like that. It's like, you know, she owns that stage. Like, you know, give her credit. Watch what she can do.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I always try to be the real deal for sure.
Right, right. What got you into playing guitar? Like, who was your, like, a lot of people say Kiss, but who was your all moment? Like, damn, I want to do that.
Um, you know, I would say like obviously casually I got into it, but for me it would absolutely be Metallica. You know, just like every day after school I would come home and I would watch Live Shit Binge and Purge the DVD, and I would just watch it over and over again. Even to this day, if I cut on anything Metallica, my mom's like, again, you know, and she likes like as starting at the age of probably 13, all the way to like 21. I just was like, it was just Metallica. And so they taught me a lot about, just watching them taught me a lot about not only being a musician, being good musicians, writing good songs, but like being entertainers, like just getting on stage and entertaining the crowd. Like, crowd doesn't want to see you stand there and stare at your guitar, you know, up at your chest, you know, and stand in one spot, you know, entertain and have a really good time. And so I would say that was the band that, when watching them, made me be like, okay, that's what I want to do. And I know it's such a cliche answer, like every band, it seems like it's like Metallica, but like it truly was for me, like that band that made me want to do this for sure.
Now, what album hooked you? Like,
Honestly, the first album that I ever got was Master of Puppets, and
me
I
too.
always say that, yeah, I always say that because it was also the album that I learned a lot of guitar too. So like I had all their tab books, but Master of Puppets was the first, and I learned all the songs and I learned the solos. So that one has a special place in my heart. But you know, it's hard to narrow it down to just one. But if I have to, it's that one.
All right. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I just turned 30.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So Master of Puppets was way before your time.
Yeah. I was born in 1990, so it was a little bit, about 15, good 15 years, right? No, 5 years. 5 years. No,
No, I
what
think
if I,
I think that came out in 80, 85 or
86,
86.
4 years before I was born. So I was a
Yeah.
baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny is when someone's, I always relay stuff by years. Like when they say like 89, 90, I'm like, okay, that was Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood. Uh, you know, like I always go back to reference back to when CDs were released and, you know, bands come out with whatever. And, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's why everyone, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, Black Album's probably like your favorite. And it's definitely my top three. But Puppets is mine. For sure.
that's good. That's good. I tell you what, I loved every single track off of that, off
Oh,
Master Puppets.
great album.
Yeah, you know, a buddy of mine, he actually, I was always into the glam, like, of course, Motley Crue being one of my favorite all-time bands.
Yeah.
He actually moved in behind me, and he said, "Do you like music?" Of course, you know, like, yeah, man, check this out. And he was like, "Those are posers."
You're like, oh, man.
Yeah. And I was like, "Well, what do you listen to?" And he was like, "Metallica and Megadeth." I was like, "What? Who the hell is that?" Because I truly did not know.
Yeah.
And you know, he introduced me, and I was hooked. Like, he started just force feeding me all these like Metallica and Megadeth, and just, you know, and I was like, wow, you know, that's killer. That's
And
killer.
I definitely like love Megadeth too, and I learned a lot of Dave Mustaine's guitar parts learning guitar, but there was something about Metallica that just really like resonated. And like obviously they're the biggest metal band in the world, and
Oh, of course.
with a lot of people, so it's not just me. There's something special in there, but it definitely did. And it's crazy that even, you know, at that, you know, when I got into them 20 something years into their career, you know, like they're still, and till today, they're still resonating with like kids. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah. And I tell you about them is they just keep, I don't know if I should say reinventing themselves, but it's just like they don't come out with the same stage and the same tours and the same backdrops. It's just like, Jesus Christ. You look up there and it's like, whoa. Like they totally outdone the last tour they just done. And you would think that, you know, the last tour was so big, but once they come out again, it's like, geez.
Something else. Yeah. And I mean, I guess they have to, because like they've been doing it so long, got to keep them
Right.
excited and interested. But it's amazing that they're able to do it every time. I've seen them 4 or 5 times, and each time the show's different, and it's
Wow.
Yeah.
Unstable is definitely, I would say, a step in the right direction for you guys. You know, I can definitely tell there's some growth there. And although it's the same band, I feel there's no like repeat sounds. You know, you guys might play the same, or you might, of course, play the same guitars, but you can just tell there's some evolution there.
Yeah. So with this first single that we released, it's when I tell people is like with Freak, our last album, we had basically come off of being extremely metalcore, you know, like from the album before that, from the EP before that, excuse me. So we wanted to like incorporate some different sounds, some different influences on Freak, but we were kind of nervous about it, so we kind of just like stuck our toe in, and we were like, okay, let's just give it a shot. and it worked out really well. So with I'm Not Right and the upcoming album, we just like dove in head first, and we were like, all right, you know what, it worked. Let's just do what we want to do on this album. It should be good. We should be fine, and we did, and it really has, with the first single at least, really paid off. It sounds a lot more mature, and it's very thick sounding, and
Oh yeah.
we really accomplished everything we were looking to so far, and it's resonating well. Like it's crazy. Even if we wanted to coming up be a part of like any kind of scene or specific genre, like we just were not accepted. Like we're just always been like kind of like an outcast band, naturally, and then we kind of grew to appreciate that and be okay with it and like be proud of it. But so we never were part of any really scene, so we've always just kind of done musically and business wise like what we want to do, and it's always paid off for us. So same with this album and this recent single, we just did what we wanted to do, followed our heart with it, and so far it's been good.
Right. Hey, what's the funniest moments that you guys have had on tour?
It's funny because people ask all the time, and it's so hard when you think back on years of touring. You're like, man, it was interesting on like the Devil Driver tour. Like we were out with Devil Driver, Cane Hill, and 36 Crazy Fists, and a band called Uncured. And so we were like, we were trying to like kind of break the ice and like be, let everybody know like, we like to have a good time or whatever. And Ruben, our drummer, is from Venezuela. So at the time, he hadn't been in America very long. He had been in America for like maybe like 2 years or something.
Oh, wow.
He was always like very like just outgoing and ready to do like crazy stuff. And I think there was a time he like took off all his clothes and like threw them at Cane Hill's van, and he took off his underwear. And, like, we had him do all this because we're not going to do it, but we were like, make the foreign guy do it. So he like took his underwear and he tried to throw it on their window, but instead he threw it through their open window, and his underwear landed on Elijah's face. They weren't super stoked about it. We thought it was hilarious, but they weren't super stoked about it. But looking back now, I'm just like, oh my God. That was like a solid 3.5 years ago. So like, we're like, man. So it's always little stuff like that. That's just like, you think back and you're like, oh my God, like what were we doing? But so we're pretty tame crew on tour. We like, people are always like, you guys party a lot? And they're like, no, we play and go to bed. So yeah, we're pretty chill. So nothing too super exciting, but we do love being on the road.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Before this whole COVID wrecked every tour that was going to happen this year, were you guys on any tours that was going to go around this year?
So we definitely had some touring plans, like some really big touring plans for the year. Luckily they were still like in the planning stages, like, and so it was nothing that we had all the dates and everything was solidified and we were like, that got canceled, but it was definitely stuff that was in motion. But luckily all of it has been moved to 2021. So it is what it is. It sucks. I would rather be on the road, but I'm glad that, everything's still moving.
I would say it probably opened some doors up for you guys, as in time, gave you time to maybe wrap up some projects or, fine tune things that you wanted to fine tune before that maybe you was running out of time.
Yeah, it's been good. We actually we finished shooting the video for the first single, and we finished the record in February. We finished shooting the video and everything for the first single, getting everything set up for the first single, literally like 2 weeks before everything shut down in LA. So it was crazy, and we were like, oh God, like, every band started pushing things back, and we were like, we pushed back, I think, a couple weeks, but we were finally like, you know what, we're just going to put it out. People are at home, we're going to put out the song, and it actually worked in our benefit a lot because we didn't have all this traffic, like, of bands putting out things to sift through. This was supposed to be like one of the craziest years for touring in metal in a long time, with Gojira tour and Slipknot tour and like, Deftones, and there was just all sorts of stuff going out.
Right.
that we would have had to sift through for the release of all this stuff, and we don't have to. So we try to look at the positive and how to move forward regardless of what's going on, because there's always going to be something, not necessarily a pandemic, but always
Right.
something. So it's been, in that regard, it's been good for us. We have a lot of good news that came out of there being a pandemic with our stuff, which is weird to say, but.
Well, with everyone trapped at home, I'm sure you guys had a hell of a lot more views on your videos.
Yeah. I mean, it's at 1.2 million in
Wow.
2.5 months, so it's doing really good.
Yeah. What's that feel like? You know, I don't want to say a small up and coming band, but an up and coming band like you guys to like 1 point, something million views. You know what I mean? Like, what's that like for you guys?
It's awesome. It's rewarding because we do work so hard on everything we do, and like we've been working hard since middle school. Like this is what we wanted to do. So it's kind of like we're a very forward thinking band. So sometimes people have to remind me, especially, to be like, Diamond, enjoy it. Like, look what you're doing. Like for instance, like we played Exit 111 Festival last October with Guns N' Roses, and then right before and right before we played that, someone announced, or Danny Wimmer announced all the festivals this year that were supposed to have Metallica on. And I'm like in the car with my mom, and I'm like, I hope we get those festivals with Metallica. My mom's like, Diamond, you're playing with Guns N' Roses next weekend. Like, be excited. And I have to like be like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Like, so I'm always so like moving forward, So same with like the video and stuff. It's like if I stop and really think like, wow, that's a lot of views and a lot of people, listening to the song. It's crazy. It's awesome to do that, but it's very rare that I let myself, do that. So
Yeah. Just slow down, enjoy it.
For sure.
Let's rewind. Your first single off your new album, I'm Not Right. Give me some insight on that video and the lyrics behind that song. What's that song about?
Yeah, so like, none of us in the band really personally struggle with like any mental health or anything, but we all know people who have or close to someone who does. And for us, we just kind of wanted it to be about like, hey, there's so many songs out there about like being depressed or upset or whatever, but we kind of wanted to make one where it was like, hey, look, sometimes you're going to look in the mirror in your life once maybe, and you're just not going to like something about yourself, or you're going to see something you don't like, or you're going to be living a way you don't like or something. And so sometimes it takes that moment for you to, hit rock bottom and say, okay, I want to change this about myself, or, become a better version of myself. And that's basically what the song is all about. It's about kind of reaching that rock bottom and saying, okay, I hate what I see looking back at me. Like, I'm ready to change this. And, when we went to shoot the video for it and the concept for the video for it, we kind of wanted to make it something that was kind of reminiscent of something you would see in like the early 2000s. With a modern twist on it, something that kind of had a storyline and involved like some youthfulness, but also a performance aspect of it, because we always want to be seen. We feel like our live performance is like one of the best things about us. So that's kind of how we came up with that too. So it's just basically about just like being down on yourself, but being like, all right, this needs to change because like I'm not loving this. So.
Right on. What's the official release date for Unstable?
Well, it was gonna be in the fall. It was gonna be October 2nd, but we've had some recent developments that I don't think it's gonna be October 2nd anymore. So we'll know a little bit more in the coming weeks, but hopefully still the fall. I can't even say for sure anymore. Right. But it's all good. It's all for good reason. So
That's cool. The name Diamond, is that your official name?
It is my birth certificate name. Diamond Rose Rowe is my real name.
That's very cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's very cool, because I was doing research. I was doing a little bit of homework. I'm like, is that her name? And just everything I could find, it was like Diamond, Diamond. I couldn't, hell, I even dug real deep, and I was like, kept coming up with the name Diamond. I'm like, I'm gonna ask that because that's really bugging me.
No, it is. Everyone, I get that a lot. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's a cool nickname. What's your real name?" And I'm like, "It's my name," So my parents named me that. I guess they had some foreshadowing. I did it.
That's cool. That's
Like,
cool. You being the female in the band,
mhm.
do you get your way a lot? Are you the boss of the band? Like, because let me tell you something. I've been married 23 years, and my wife is the boss.
You could probably say, yeah, But I will say they're like my brothers, and they make sure that I, all like for instance, like I always get first pick of where to sleep on the bus, and I always get, they always make sure they carry things for me if I need something carried. So they definitely,
Wow.
they're like my brothers, and like they don't even ask, they just pick it up, and they're just like, you just go do what you do over there. And honestly, I probably just get in the way anyways trying to carry stuff. So
That's funny.
yeah, so no, they definitely are. They treat me well, and I try to, I do a lot of the other like interviews and all that kind of stuff. So I pull my weight as well. I'm not just sitting around bossing everybody around, but they definitely do most of the heavy lifting.
What was it like hearing your guys' music on the radio for the first time?
So it's super cool. With Freak, we did a good radio campaign for that, and Jose Mangan at Liquid Metal, he played it, and I remember the very first time. He still to this day says our name wrong, and no matter how much we hang out with him and we tell him, dude, say our name right, he doesn't. So we finally just been like, you know what? We're just gonna let Jose say our name wrong. It's okay.
Of
So
course.
the first time we heard it, he like really butchered the name. It was like something so bad, and we were just like, so like the whole time we're listening to the song, we're just thinking about how bad he said our name. But it's super cool, especially now hearing it on like tens of stations around the country so far, and on Octane and Liquid Metal, which is also very cool on XM because usually they don't play the same song. They don't like at the same time, and it's super cool to hear I'm Not Right on Octane and then switch over to Liquid Metal, and 10 minutes later it's on Liquid Metal. It's like super cool, super rewarding feeling, for us to do that, especially having done it as an independent band. It's super cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. And it means a lot. Liquid Metal, Octane. You don't just get on there, just to be, like, excuse my language, a half-ass band.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You really have to, be doing something and catch interest. Even for Mangan.
He's been like he's been insanely good to us, and me and Josh joke all the time. We're like, we don't know why, but he's just so, he champions us so much, and he like on every station he always says great things about us. He's definitely pulling his weight with helping us reach the next level, and we're so thankful for it. So
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, and I tell you why. There's not very many bands as of late that come out and really kick ass. There's a few, but it's just like that different sound. And most people are like, well, it's just a metal band. No, it a very great band, a kick ass band. And there aren't very many bands out right now like you guys. And I'm sure like you caught his attention or whoever's attention, just like you caught my attention. It's like, damn, this is a good band. Check it out.
yeah, and it's cool. Like I said, we naturally kind of stand out because we're not like a genty band or a super metal core band or anything. We definitely have that, like, we're a metal band, but we have that like mainstream thing going. So it is something a little different than what your usual up and coming or rising underground bands are doing. So that's cool that we just naturally stand out a little bit. And maybe that does help us a good bit.
Yeah, yeah. If you could choose to do an all female collab band,
Oh boy.
who would it be with?
I
Dig deep if you have to.
This is so bad because maybe on guitar on second, I would have me on guitar. On second guitar, maybe like Nita Strauss.
Ooh, okay.
On, see, I don't even know female drummer. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is so bad because like I I honestly don't even I would have to really think about this. Definitely Nina Strauss on second guitar. On bass, okay, on vocals I do Angela Gossall, who used to be in Arch Enemy.
Ooh.
On bass I would probably do like, who's a good female bass player? Oh, but then there's Rita from Code Orange on guitar. I would put her on second guitar for sure. She matches my style more. So I'll put her on second guitar. Then I would, bass it would be maybe the girl that used to play for All That Remains. It's bad because I don't even know her name.
I don't either.
Yeah, and then drummer, I don't know, dude. I might have to just go with a guy because I don't even know. I can't think. Except for the girl from like Skillet, but I just like that would just be because I don't know anybody else. So
Right. Nothing wrong with that. Any advice for upcoming bands?
Ooh, there's so much that could be said. One main thing I tell people, tell bands all the time is, it is extremely, extremely important to find other members that have the same goals as you and the same, the same determination as you and stuff, because so many bands are talented, but they don't make it because no one's on the same page. I think everyone should know their role in the band. Not everybody has the same role in a band, and they should all know what the end goal of the band is. Some people, some guys are like, they don't want to be in the next Metallica. Like they just want to play and go home and to their family, and that's it. But I think that's something that's really cool to establish beforehand, because then when it gets to a point where it's detrimental, it sucks when you find out that you guys aren't going in the same direction.
Right.
So I think that's super important, and just also always doing what's best for your band. We had to learn that the hard way, and we would always think, Whitechapel has this manager, so-and-so has this manager, like, let's go after them, but that guy might not be good for your band, so just knowing what's best for your band individually. We found that sometimes going with the least likely person for our team or something like that has benefited us tenfold than going with who you might think. So always just look at your own band and your own situation and go with what's best for you guys. So those are two big ones that we've learned.
Right on. Where can our viewers get more of Tetrarch from?
You can find us anywhere on YouTube. Tetrarch Live is the link, but YouTube, just type in Tetrarch. Facebook, Instagram, tetrarchmusic.com is our official website. Twitter, anywhere. If you type in Tetrarch, you'll find us.
Right on. Mm-hmm. Tell you what, that's about all I've got. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I appreciate the time you've taken out to give us a little sit down.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.